There is a further update on patent infringement lawsuit between Pokemon and Palworld. And one thing I can definitely say is that Nintendo is really a petty game company the whole damn world. Hello there, how's it? I'm Ame Gakita there. So obviously today in the chat we are going to talk about patent infringement lawsuit between Pokemon and Palworld. But just as a refresher course for everyone who are new, so basically Pokemon decided to sue Palworld over the infringement right of some of the game mechanic that is similar to Pokemon that Palworld had. And one of the thing is, right, we do not know which specific patent was actually specifically put out. One of them was actually heavily speculated was using a ball-like culture to capture a monster, which Pokemon was always been well known ever since Pokemon Red and Blue in 1995 or 96, if I remember correctly. So the thing is, right, that being the case, it's kind of like got a lot of people wondering, like, why would Nintendo want to sue Palworld? Obviously, because if they got some sort of copyright issue or patent right issue, obviously they will go and sue for the hell of it. And the most important thing at the end of the day is that they want to shut down Palworld. It's not like just because like, oh, you just need to pay money and then be done with it. It's actually the most concerning is that Pokemon is trying to monopolize some game mechanic, and more so that when I look at the so-called patent that was being put off, yeah, it's really kind of very questionable, considering that some of the issue that a lot of people start pointing out was that Palworld was released in January 19, 2024, whereas the patent, 3 of them were actually filed and trying to sue after the game release. So obviously people is saying like, is it possible for a company to sue another company after they go and create a patent after the company? Let's say for example, if company A and company B, company A create the game already, release the game already, and company B decided to file a patent for it, and it was approved, and they decided to sue company A for it. Can the lawsuit go through? Sadly, yes. But there is a catch for it, which I actually previously covered on a freaking 23 minutes and talking about the issue. And one of the topics I taught in that video was, what if that situation happened? Well, company B can sue company A for it, but company A can counter sue back, as well as that they can also highlight the issue is that they released the game beforehand, arguing that. But the most important thing at the end of the day is that if company A win, then company B patent will be revolted, and if other game company decided to come forth and indicate on that point as well, then many of the patent under the name of Nintendo may be revolted, and that many of the game mechanic will be free to be shared by many people, as most of the patent will be after revoting will be released to the public domain, meaning to say that anyone can use it with no pre-concussion or being sued by Nintendo. Now, the issue on the third part is that they also Nintendo tried to sue Palworld and asking for a payment of 5 million to Pokemon company and 5 million to Nintendo. They know that this is a twofold lawsuit, which basically means that Nintendo is representing both the Pokemon company and Nintendo over this patent. And it's kind of funny because in a way is that we all know that Pokemon company belong to Nintendo. There's no way about it. And more so on the part is that if they do go about it means that they have to pay 10 million yen. And the only thing is, right, 5 million yen itself is like $32,000. So in a way, if they trying to ask them to pay 10 million, is basically around 65 million USD. Now, putting into a perspective for many of the Asia people who are not aware of US trading, yeah, I'll be using the most common money in Southeast Asia, and that is Singapore dollar. So basically they are going for 43,420 Singapore dollars. So in the way, it's just telling the whole damn world that Nintendo is trying to smoke weed because they love the number. So putting that aside, does that mean that can the lawsuit go through? And if go through, is it like, what is it gonna be bad? Well, before we go and jump into it, do they know that the charge can be higher because they also highlight plus late payment. And late payment damages tend to be a lot more. So a lot of people will jumping the ship saying that, oh, it's just only $65, there's nothing wrong. Well, once you add the late payment as well as the lawsuit payment and everything, yeah, that's gonna add up quite a lot. And that's basically telling us that Nintendo is trying to shut down Palworld. They are trying to make the company shut down. They're trying to make it close. They're trying to prevent and also kind of like sending a signal to many other indie companies that you try and copying our idea, you're gonna get your hand burned. So I believe that there will be some people saying like they deserve it, they fly fly too close to the sun. But the thing is, like, when I was like looking at the 3 pendant being placed out, it hold a lot of questionable point, which I'll highlight in this freaking video, but I'll try to put it in a simple nutshell. It's also one of the reasons why today random chat is a bit late than usual, was because I was reading the whole damn lot of it word by word to the point that the first thing in my mind was just basically it shut down, and I have to take a nap to recharge my freaking brain before I lose one of my 9 billion life. So putting into simple context, basically the 3 pendant being put forth, which I will highlight about the date as well later on, is that they are trying to sue Palworld, Pokemon trying to sue Palworld over using a ball-like culture to capture a monster, as well as trying to use the monster to fight another monster, as well as riding on the monster. They know that this, why I have to persevere, highlight this word in not like riding on a Pokemon, using a ball like to catch a Pokeball, is that in a way, when it came to Pendant, you don't expect the judge to understand what is Pokemon, even though Pokemon is a well-known game all over the world. So in a way, they have to like use vague word, which previously covered by Legal Mindset when he talked about it, and I did talk in the video itself specifically when I was highlighting Andrew's son video. So one of the thing is, right, another reason when I was looking through each of the PDF and information, there is one important thing in the pendant document that was submitted to them was the flowchart as well. And the flowchart is really one of the main reasons why this sort of questionable pendant can go through. Well, the thing is, right, all the idea technically is old. Using a ball to capture a monster, they freaking released a Pokemon back in 1995, 1996, which is Pokemon Red and Blue. And in the game, they highlight the issue was that using a ball to capture a Pokemon, even if they highlight it's under copyright, the issue with that is that even if they, by then they said, they're trying to highlight that, oh, it's an old trademark or an old idea of them, then here's the question. If we add like 20 maximum year to when Pokemon first was released, using a ball to catch a monster, right? The idea is already on the freaking public domain if they do patent it on back then. So 1994, 1995, 1996, by then it's already like in the 2020 already. It's already long before already, so they can't say that this is a new idea. Patent is mostly to copyright new idea, is to prevent the stealing of new idea. You can't just go and say that, oh hey, this is an old idea, we just paste a stupid one or two thing in and say that, oh, it's a new idea. No, that's not how it works. So if Palworld decided to sue, like counter sue Pokemon, the one thing is that if they can highlight that using a ball to capture a monster is an old idea, then they are technically able to win half the battle. So if Pokemon try to highlight the issue on that, then obviously it's a problem. Now another issue on this, right, is that a lot of people tend to jump that it's an application like after the game release. Sadly to burst many of your bubble, they did release it in Japan back in 2021. It's just that the latest update 2024 is just a further update. So in a way, I did read I did saw Master video, and he highlight that, and he said that it's an update of an update, and that got me reading it and understanding further. Like before we all jumped the gun. Is it true? If anyone do go and check out the Japan version one, it is true. They did release it back in 2021, but the issue on that end was that excuse me, the application of that one was basically on 2021 December 22nd, which basically means that if Palworld is able to, again in my video I did highlight in the same video, that if they are able to prove that the pattern was only done after the so-called release of the game trailer at the time, the game teaser if you want to call it another name, then obviously a lot of people tend to notice that yeah, this is done in bad faith. So if that is the case, then all the pattern situation, right, like amazingly all the filing day is right after on the same filing day, amazingly, and it's done by the same person. So the only issue is, right, back then I highlight that if they done it back then, obviously Nintendo is gonna climb an uphill battle on this one, because Palworld can just highlight that the game trailer was released before the pattern. They already have the idea before the pattern, as well as that they can just highlight that this is all done within a bad faith. And most so is that most of the idea, like they trying to highlight like using a ball-like culture to capture a monster. They already done it for Pokemon Red and Blue. So even if they say it's an old idea, 20 years to the maximum, it's already over already. They can't say it's a new idea. Even if they say that, oh, we add in, it's 3D. No, using a ball to capture a monster, that's an old idea. That is already half the battle. Now using a monster versus monster, again, this will be back to the part of Digimon as well. Digimon has also been well known for using monster to defeat monster. So if they try to also highlight that, hey, monster versus monster, then Pokemon is also trying to shut down not just Palworld, but shut down the whole damn world game industry, because they say that, oh, you can't have monster versus monster. And last part is basically sitting on the monster and riding and going to all different places. Dude, if Nintendo decided to add this to the law, to their patent right, to be said, yeah, I think like even games like Maple Story, World of Warcraft can basically sue Nintendo for having this sort of stupid idea in the game as well, right? Because they have already the idea back then, and now Nintendo just trying to patent it. Like, you gotta be killing me. So the issue is that why all this idea that is really like old idea, why is it that they can actually get patent either way? There is many reasons to it, as I was reading it, which took me quite a long while to understand. So one of the reasons that many people need to understand that is a very similar at the document that is provided to them is basically that they highlight that at the end they have something like a flow chat. I can't really show it on the screen properly because of safety reason, but this will be how it will be like. So in case anyone want to know, it's basically the how programming work. As I have worked as a programmer before, so I know how it works. So in order to like understand like when something happen, if you want to have, if this is the case or if not, what will happen, it's like you only have 2 options or sometimes 3 options along depending on the situation, and it's the if or else, basically the if or else coding. Yes, for some reason I want to forget those coding days back in the past, but anyway, if and else, or basically the flowchart yes and no, is basically a very powerful tool being used in businesses, but at the same time more so on the programming. When it came to programming, right, you do need a lot of like, if this is the case, if not, what is the case, and often more than not, those are considered very important ideas. Especially more so that if they decide to they're trying to like highlight it is their ideas. So if this is being highlighted that this is important, the one thing a lot of people need to understand, why is there a new, like, why is there like different update to it? Like, why is it like in US, why is it on JP or whatsoever? Well, the thing is, right, pattern in Japan doesn't mean that it's can't be used all over the world. It's just that unless it's being confirmed, that is when all people can't use it. And US tend to be the English version of the JP1. So when the JP1 is being proceed, they need to also highlight to the English one so that the English speaking people weren't able to copy it as well. And often more than not, update to it, right, is not unheard of in the patent law as long as the flowchart is being updated properly. Like if they got new idea that is by the same inventor, by the same people, they can put it into the idea itself, and obviously it can be updated accordingly. And that is the reason why there is many updates to it. That is the reason why there is like different falling time that is basically after the date. The only issue is that if the patent is still true, it is basically back to the original date when it was first original filed, which is back in 2021 December. But again, like Palworld have been released teaser since 2021 in January, so or July if I'm not wrong. I think it was July. So if they actually able to use that as a fighting point, then obviously Nintendo is going to lose this battle as I initially expected. But again, Nintendo can still win this case if they highlight the like using the idea is original was on the proceeding or the process of filing, then obviously there will be a whole new problem. But again, this is really just telling a lot of people that they are trying to target small indie company or trying to tell the whole world that you can't use their idea. And the one thing is, right, there is an issue on the so-called patent right itself, is that technically you can use the patent if you actually pay to the company. So basically, right, Nintendo is just trying to say that they're trying to get a lot of game mechanic out there being patent, so that if anyone want to use it, they have to pay Nintendo. So Nintendo is trying to earn an extra buck off in the company if they're trying to go about that. And that is really a questionable practice by game company, especially as big one as big as Nintendo. And at this point of time, it's just telling the whole world that Nintendo is just going with the idea, indicating they are just trying to monopolize the gaming industry at this point of time. And it's really done in bad faith from how I look at it. And more so that if they do win, this is going to be a whole new problem. Now, again, back to the point of that the 3 patent, those are old idea. Why is it they still can get patent? Well, the thing is, right, patent situation, like I mentioned back then, is that if you add in, like, for example, like using a ball-like culture to capture a monster. Yeah, the issue is that they can go with the idea that using a ball to capture a monster in 3D. If they freaking add the word 3D to it, then obviously it's gonna be a whole new problem, because by then, right, it just means that for around 20 years of the time, no game can use a ball-like culture to capture a game in 3D. So as long as it's in 2D, then yeah, that's fine. But because Palworld is capturing monster in 3D, that's the problem. And hardly anyone create game using 2D nowadays, unless people want to go about it, because Unity is way easier to use, I guess. But the issue, right, at this point of time, it just basically just show that how Nintendo is really doing everything in bad faith. More on the part that a lot of people are just saying that they are just bullying small indie company, and like I mentioned back then, Nintendo is just trying to monopolize the gaming industry at this point. But the thing is, right, why is that people that going for Palworld more than Pokemon? Why is the success of Palworld is affecting Pokemon or threatening Pokemon? Is that the thing is, right, Pokemon is really kind of like not new anymore. It's not there's no new creativity, it's not fresh anymore. And the issue with Pokemon itself as well is that they just basically stick to just a few Pokemon that is like, even if they release new Pokemon, new design Pokemon, most of them doesn't even look like something that people will love, not something that people will accept as compared to the first 3 generations of Pokemon as well. So obviously people feel like there is like some sort of burnout within Pokemon, there is like some sort of like no new creativity, no new idea within Pokemon. Obviously people are going to look for new alternative, and Palworld was the new alternative. And more so is that if anything else, Palworld, you can basically build your own home. You can't build your own home within Pokemon. Like, yes, you can definitely decorate your own room, but the thing is, right, that's all. It's just Pokemon is just back to the same idea where you defeat a gym leader, you go and fight for extra elite, and you go and get the champion to fight you and you win it, and that's the whole game. There's nothing more, nothing less. It's just basically how it has been. So obviously a lot of people are fed up with Pokemon in many ways, and it's not the first thing. Considering that Nintendo and Pokemon company are having a lot of controversy within this year as well. Just as a simple reminder before we end the video, it's basically right. Pokemon already have previously been hacked and leaked info, where their questionable idea, their questionable story about each individual Pokemon is being leaked, and got a lot of people questioning like what the hell is happening with Nintendo and Pokemon. Like what were they doing, as well as that one of their popular game, Pokemon Go, have a little bit of so-called downgrade because they want to add DEI within the game. And now the recent case which I didn't cover out on was basically the so-called they're trying to ban on Emulator, which is not illegal in the first place. But of course, Nintendo being Nintendo, going around trying to monopolize wherever they can, however they can, whenever they can. So it's really kind of like showing that at this point of time, Nintendo is just basically going around trying to pump out more game, get more crash grab, and just don't even care about the gamer as a whole. I mean, like, sure, some of the game may be fun, but when you have like this sort of thing where their game is just basically gonna be still gonna be not fresh in a year or two, obviously people will be back to the idea saying that, hey, they are not gonna have fun of the game anymore. There's no idea, there's no fun in the game. Obviously people are just gonna quit as a whole. So the only advice I can give to Nintendo at this point in time is that if they really treasure this kind of idea, I don't think suing would be the best way to go. It's that just do what they do in the past. Just take in the laws, try to partner up with Palworld, create a new game, or maybe get them under your umbrella, under your wing, or whatever you want to call it, and just be it. I mean, like, just be the parents or company of the Palworld. Wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't that make even more better game along the line? It's just weird that why would Pokemon Go and Pokemon Go with this idea, or Nintendo trying to eat. So I guess at this point in time, they just trying to be the monopolize of gaming industry, just like how WWE is the so-called monopoly of wrestling back in the day, somewhere along the line. But who knows? I mean, like, this is just all my speculative talk. It's just a random chat. So if you have your own view, your own take, how you feel about the lawsuit between Palworld and Pokemon, just write in the comment section, we can discuss it further. If not, if you do like this video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe for more random chat where I talk about stuff that sometimes makes sense, doesn't make sense, or random at time. But the one thing I hope is not random for you guys is have a nice day online. Bye.